Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvichesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desakarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Nangate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarine. Hare Krishna. So today we'll start the new chapter. It's called Prakriti Purush Vibhaga Yoga. So this chapter actually starts the explanation about the Gyan Yoga, and also Gyan Yoga we can say Mishra with Bhakti. So Bhakti, as we at the end of the last chapter, Krishna established actually that Bhakti is the supreme process. But Bhakti is present in Jnana also. Bhakti is present in Ashtanga Yoga also, just to help these other processes to attain the highest goal. So from this chapter, actually, Arjuna starts with questions. Like in the 12th chapter also, Arjuna started with the question. So in the 11th chapter, actually 10th and 11th chapter, Krishna established his supremacy. And in the Vishwarupa, Arjuna also understood that the Tuan form is the supreme. So after that, Arjuna is asking the questions to clarify each process and how Bhakti is present in that. So firstly, in the 12th chapter, he asked, what is better, personal worship or impersonal worship? Now in this, he's asking about the Prakriti and actually 6 questions. And then Krishna answers those questions in this chapter. So let us see this verse. So verse first and second are together. Arjuna Vacha.
Arjuna Vacha.
Purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnameva cha.
Prakritim Purusham chaiva kshetram kshetragyam eva cha.
Etad veditum ichchami jnanam geyam cha Keshava.
Etad veditum ichchami jnanam geyam cha Keshava.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Idam shartam kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate.
Etadyo veti tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidaha.
Etadyo veti tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvida.
Please chant.
Arjun Vacha. Prakritim Purusham chaiva kshetram kshetragyam eva cha. Etad veditum ichchami jnanam geyam cha Keshava. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Idam shartram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate. Etad yo veti tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvida.
Arjuna Vacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetranya Eva Cha Etad Viditum Ichchami Jnanam Nyeyam Cha Keshava. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Sariram Kaunteya Kshetram Nitya Vidiyate Etad Yo Veti Tam Prahu Kshetranya Iti Tadvidaha.
Okay, so translation and purport. Arjun said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, the field and the knower of the field, knowledge and object of knowledge, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is the knower of the field." but it is long. Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, and Kshetragya, its knower, and knowledge and object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that this body is called the field, and that one who knows this body is the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in the material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is this body? The body is made up of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called kshetra, or the field of activity for conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called kshetragya, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, and yet still one person remaining. Thus, there is difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. Living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehino Asmin, that living entity is within this body, and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. And the person who knows that knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly kshetragya. Sometimes we think, I am happy, I am man, I am woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are bodily designations of the knower, but the knower is different from the body. Although we may use articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from things we use, the things used. Similarly, we also understand by little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called kshetragya, knower of the field of activities, and the body kshetra, the field of activities. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, knower of the body, living entity, and the position by which he understands the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regards to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of individual soul are definitely defined in this chapter. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness, they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities as the distressed who are in want of money, the inquisitive, or those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting from 13th chapter, how the living entity comes in contact with the material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through different methods of fructive activities, cultivation of knowledge, discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This is also explained. So Arjuna puts forward 6 questions: Prakriti, Purush, Kshetra, Kshetragya, and Gyan and Geyam. What is this? Arjuna wants to know. Because these terms are actually used in discussions when the intellectual scholars, they discuss Bhagavad Gita, can hear these words are used. So if we are also clear of these words, what exactly it is, then the understanding of the philosophical discussion becomes much easier, and we can relate it. So Arjuna, from that point of view, is asking these questions so that, because Bhagavad Gita, you see, Bhagavad Gita satisfies everybody's wish. Whoever is Jnani, who want to study intellectually, they also are happy by reading Bhagavad Gita. Ashtanga Yogi also happy because Krishna explains that also. Bhakti Yogi also happy because he can get the process of bhakti. So the Jnana Yogi also gets the knowledge, from basic knowledge to the topmost knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. So that way, Bhagavad Gita, that's why Bhagavad Gita is universal, applicable to any type of person who is doing bhakti or who is doing jnana or who is doing yoga or anyone who is doing nothing, who is just doing karma. For him also Bhagavad Gita is applicable. So here Arjuna's questions are related to jnana, and also Sankhya. Slowly it goes to Sankhya. So the questions are put in particular order. But if we see the second shloka, Krishna directly starts explaining about Kshetra and Kshetragya. So those are asked in middle, but Krishna, if as we go forward, we can see that why Krishna answered that question first, because that makes sense to answer these 6 questions like a ladder. What is the first step? So first step is Kshetra and Kshetragya. So when I was also trying to understand this Kshetra and Kshetragya, in these words, Kshetragya is explained very minor description, like one who knows this body is the Kshetragya. Okay, but so body, we get this body as per our previous karma that Krishna has already told. So as we do our karmas, we'll get the next body, and with our desires, whatever desires we remain in this body, those will be fulfilled in the next body. So the soul desires for the next body are created in this body, and the super soul supports that. Super soul is always with the soul, so he gives the intelligence to fulfill desires, and the mind helps and the senses help. All this we have seen. So Kshetra means this, like Krishna is idam shariram kauntaya. So this body is Kshetra. So when I was trying to understand it in several ways, one explanation that I came across was, um, uh, so first we have to understand what is conditioned soul. When everybody says the soul is in this body, so by this body, my action or my limit of actions, or what kinds of action I can do and how much I can do, is fixed in this body of my body structure, my intelligence, my mind, my senses. Everything is fixed by this body, and I can act only according to my body's capacity. If the body's capacity goes down, I cannot act. So my influence of my circle of influence according to the body will change. So that way, this body is the freedom that we can have to act in this world. So how I can enjoy my eyes. Okay, if my eyes are very good, I can see the movies, I can see the nature, I can drive. But if my seeing power of the eyes goes down, I need, so now we have the specs. So I need specs to see, I need specs to read. As the capacity goes down, my field of activities will go down. So if I have specs and I cannot see the things near to me, then I will avoid books which are very small letters, because I know that will give strength to my eyes. I have to use the specs, and also it's difficult. So my field of activity of eye is reducing. So similarly, as we grow, the strength, the power, uh, everything goes down slowly. Our stamina also goes down. If we can run for 5 kilometers at the age of 40, at the age of 60, we will be able to run 2 kilometers if we don't practice. So my field of activity, its influence reduces. So this way, though I am entrapped here, I can understand that, okay, my capacity is reducing, my power is reducing, my energy is reducing, I'm growing old. And then if I have to maintain the same capacity, I have to take extra efforts. So this is my intelligence also working. So this body is actually our limit by which we do different activities. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions, in this body there is someone who knows that I was child, now I am this much year old, and next I will be maybe 50, 60, 40, whatever. So somebody knows these changes being happening. So that somebody is the sense of what we say I or mine. Like Prabhupada said, I am happy. Who is exactly happy? The body cannot become happy. Right? The mind, intelligence, along with that, somebody is saying that, okay, I am happy because I used my intelligence in some way. So there is something which is different from intelligence also. So that is happy. So that person is actually Kshetrajna, who knows what's happening with the body. So my body and my capacity of my body, I know. Uh, but if somebody else body, I don't know what is his capacity, what is his intelligence, how is his senses operating. I don't know. That person knows. So my limitation is until this body. So that is my, what we say in language like circle of influence. We say, I know what I can do, and I act in that circle to be more efficient. So if I cannot see the things far away, then I avoid that. Mm. So similarly, if I know I am not good in, my interest is in say science, then I study science. If my interest is not in arts, we don't spend energy there. So we use our intelligence and everything, and we define what we can do, what we cannot do. So all these desires are coming in with from the past karma. Mm. And by which we get this body, and in that we act. Mm. And then we enjoy by acting in this body. Ultimately we all are trying to enjoy somehow or other. Mm. So that is why this body is there. So this is the, what is the cycle, that field of activities go on increasing. And so if we do the more spiritual activities, then Krishna says like in the 7th and 8th chapter, then you get a better birth. You get a birth in a wealthy family or a spiritual family, so that your field of activities becomes in that way, so that you can do spiritual things, or you can do pious things. So you have money, you can do pious things. So my field of activity is that. If I do bad karma, then I want to do bad, I have bad desires, I want to enjoy more. So that type of body we will get. And that type we will act in that way. So those one who knows how my body is acting, and how my what is my circle, what is my influence, how much I can act, that is Kshetrajna. Mm. So Kshetrajna will be explained by Krishna more as we go ahead in this chapter, because if everybody is different, then what actually links everyone, that also should be explained. So there is one more example of this, like the twins are there, right? Twins who are born from same mother at the same time. But when they grow up, we notice that they both have very different intelligence, very different mind, very different senses, and they think independently, uh, and they act also independently. So in the twins, we can very clearly see that, okay, even if they are born at the almost the same time, uh, from a same mother, still they are operating differently. So there is difference. There is something is acting which is beyond this body and all these things. That's why they have something from the past life or from past karma in which they act, though they are born at the same time, same structure. So this, from that we can understand, okay, there is something more than one who knows this body, who is the link of everything, and who is supporting this knower of individual body. So that Krishna explains as we go ahead in this chapter. Here he only says somebody knows this body, he is Kshetrajna. So who is he? How many are there? That Krishna will explain as we go in this chapter. So these concepts are very useful from a normal point of view also. Of course, we should know from a spiritual point of view also. But when we act in our office or in our family, we always act as per our influence, as per our boundary. If I am supposed to work in particular project, I work in only that project. That becomes my activity of doing, using my intelligence, and whatever intelligence I have of software or hardware, that project becomes my activity field. I can work in that project only. I cannot go to different project and there I use my mind. I need some permissions. Everything is required. But if I want to act freely, I am assigned to one particular project. In that, I do my activities, use my intelligence. So this is also one example how to understand that where I can act and how much I can act. Of course, that is external field of activity. But for me, my this body is the field of activity. I can use this as I want, for good or bad. So this concept will be more clear as we move ahead in this chapter. But this, like Srila Prabhupada mentions, these last 6 chapters are more on the jnana, mishra with bhakti, and also it explains how this knower of the body gets entangled in this body. So it's also very interesting because it's intellectually very nourishing for the intelligence and mind, which now in Kali Yuga that is more likable thing everybody has. So we will see more as we go ahead. Sorry, we start a little bit late and a little bit extra. Anybody has any comments or any examples, or they want to add something which makes this clear? It will be very helpful. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll continue tomorrow with this Kshetrajna and this discussion as Krishna explains in more details. Who actually is that? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.